Spokane Storytime. Hey, is there a haunted insane asylum in Colfax, Washington? Let's find out. So Colfax here gets its name from Schuyler Colfax, who was the vice president for Ulysses S. Grant in 1869. And Colfax and Spokane have a long history together dating back to the Interurban Railroad. You see, it was an electric rail line that connected Spokane all the way down to Moscow. And so on the way, Colfax was one of the primary stops. And so with Colfax being one of the main stops out here on the Palouse, they opened up the St. Ignatius Hospital, and it was opened by the Sisters of Providence, which is the same group that opened up the Sacred Heart Hospital in Spokane. And so this hospital was unique because it was founded, staffed, and completely ran by Catholic nuns. And the hospital was considered to be pretty advanced. This was actually the x-ray room, and they would have these adjacent rooms here for the x-ray technicians. And they also had one of the best laboratories in all of Washington state, and it was in this room right here. And this room over here was actually a sunroom for tuberculosis, so when people were sick with that, they would just give them some vitamin D. And this room used to be the birthing room, so if you were born in Colfax before 1950, this is probably where you were born. And this hospital actually had one of the first successful C-sections out here on the Palouse. So it started to gain the reputation as the place to go if you wanted to have a healthy baby. So a lot of people, instead of having a home birth, they chose to come to this hospital here. But how did this hospital get the reputation as an insane asylum? So after it shut down as a hospital, it actually reopened as a ward for the elderly and the developmentally disabled. It was actually never used as an insane asylum for anyone that was criminally insane. But how did the rumor start? People started calling it the insane asylum on the hill up here. But when people started breaking in the mid-2000s, what happened is they would find these slips. And because the psychiatric wards and the developmentally disabled units all across Washington state use the same intake slips, people would see the terms like imbecile, idiot, mentally disabled. And so that's kind of when the lore started. And it's kind of hard to imagine what would have went on here when you break in and discover archaic equipment like that. And you don't even have to break in anymore. You can go to their website, Colfax Haunted Hospital, and book yourself a tour. And they've hosted a ton of ghost hunter shows. At one point, the floor collapsed. You can hear footsteps, apparently. It's actually kind of a creepy place. And then over here, this was the operating room. And you got to think back then, they didn't even have anesthesia. And so when you hear the lore about hearing screams down the hallway, it would have been from this room. And in 2015, Washington State nominated this one of Washington's most endangered places. And so some new owners bought it in 2021 and have been restoring it. And so you can actually take historic tours during the day, or you can come and take the haunted tours at night. And now you know about the haunted insane asylum on the hill.